Having lunch with me today are Edwina Currie and Britt Ekland. They've both written very sexy novels.
But what about men? Because let me talk about your books here. I mean, they're fab, they're great.
Well,
they're very raunchy.
Both our books?
Yes, very, very raunchy, especially yours. I mean,
Is
I've only read the naughty
Is she more steamy than mine?
Well,
mine's a longer book than yours.
It is. Well, only by, what, how long is yours?
About 50 pages more.
50 pages more, yes. Well, you can get in a lot in 50 pages.
But it's done extremely well, in fact.
Oh, it's been way up in the bestseller lists, and I was #1, and, great feeling. But do you know what occurred to me about why people think it's so raunchy? It isn't all that raunchy.
It is. But it is. I kept thinking all the way through, you're spelling elections wrong. It did, and now that's raunchy.
And I kept thinking about the way Barbara Cartland would write, about all these dominant men and these wilting women, and I did it the other way around. I've got these dominant women and these slightly wilting men. And it comes across as very powerful because the girls like it, and the men, I think, quite like it as well. So you take each event and you turn it on its head and you say, what are people expecting? And then you do something completely different, and they all go, ha!
But, I mean, when you say raunchy, I mean, in my book...
very graphic.
Yes, but I'm only describing what you would do. I'm not embellishing a la Barbara Cartland. I'm just very straight, matter-of-fact, straightforward. You know, and this is what we do, isn't it?
Well, Peter Sellers, you know, he was 18 years older than you, too. Yeah. I mean, could it be autobiographical in any way?
I would think that it would be highly unlikely that Edwina would write a book about rock and roll and movie making, or you would write a book about, you know, being a working member of Parliament. So you obviously use what your experiences are, and then you take a face here and a haircut there and a hand there and a mannerism there, and you put it all together, and out comes this one person.
Well, one of few tips, because I'd love to write a racy book about men. I mean, I'd really like to...
But you have no experience, dear.
Well,
you've been married the same man for so long.
That's long, 25.
You don't
I'm only kidding you.
You don't have to change husbands to have a
but
racy
when you're
time.
writing these, you know, these sexual fantasies in the book, whether they be fantasies or not, I mean, are you thinking of... I mean, I would be thinking of Kevin Costner, for instance. I mean, what kind of men do you fancy in real life?
6'1", broad-shouldered chartered accountants.
Right. I mean, on the screen, don't you sort of look at Kevin and think, ooh?
No, I don't.
No.
Screen men don't interest me. I mean, movie star-looking men.
Well, you've been involved with the best. I mean, really.
Well, I was married to Peter Sellers, but that was
Peter Sellers, but
30 years
you've been
ago.
out with Warren Beatty.
Yeah, but that was also 30 years ago.
Yes, no,
you
but
know.
all these, I mean, we would kill for Warren Beatty.
Since then...
No, I wouldn't. He looks pretty used to me.
Oh, he
He
does.
probably is,
I read in the paper you're going out with this dish.
You did?
I did, and he
How old is
plays
this
for
one?
Wimbledon.
I don't know. I haven't read these papers.
There's a... And you have been to a football match recently.
Oh, I go to football matches all the time. It's just that I happen to be photographed this time. I love football.
But it was a wonderful story. I thought, how lucky. I think he's about 25, is
I don't know.
he? And he was once a page 7 hunk.
Really?
I saw that with his song on. I have. He's wonderful. You deserve it. You deserve it.
Well, we ought to ask Britt what he looks like with his thong off, you know.
I wouldn't know.
Yes, what do you think about these kiss and tell? I mean, you've got plenty of them, you know, at
We've
the
got
house.
too many of those at the
those
house.
kiss and tell stories. I mean,
Well, I think that it's interesting how in the 70s and the 80s it was the rock stars and the actors and the, you know, general entertainers. Now you cannot open a newspaper without one of your fellow members being shamed one way or another in the papers. Whether it's true or not, I don't know.
But they're shamed when they don't do anything.
But what is it? Yes, but I mean, what is it about?
I mean, I could
look at these men.
them
I mean,
pickled Edwina.
Is it the power because they are in a position of power?
They think there's a certain kind of woman, girl, often quite young, who thinks that members of Parliament are wonderfully glamorous and attractive. I remember seeing one of my colleagues, who ought to remain nameless, with a girl on his arm, who was in a very pretty girl, with a lovely fur coat, lovely long legs, high heel shoes, and she was looking at him adoringly. And I came past and I said hello. And I thought to myself, gosh, you think he's somebody important. You think he's somebody dramatic and powerful and significant and glamorous. He's only a jumped-up estate agent, for heaven's sake.
Slightly balding with a paunch and a red face.
Britt and I both think you ought to write a lively, raunchy,
I've learned an
exciting
awful lot
book.
today.
We'll give you some tips.
You just write about anything that you like, and you don't give any. You make up names, your favourite names, like Monica.
And you don't give a damn. You just do it.
And all the things that you were deprived of as a child or as an adult, you just put it in there.
You do.
And everything you always wanted to do but never did.
And if you've ever dreamed of having a bath in warm chocolate milk, you put it in your novel and you do it, and you have a wonderful time writing that scene. And then your husband will say, "Where did that come from?"
But you see, that's the wonderful thing about books, because you can just make them and maim them and rape them and, you know, you create them and then you kill them off.
And give them a slow death if you actually hate them.
Oh, you
With a
can do
different
it,
name.
and all your revenges come out in the book, if you have any. Because I have such a clean, pure life, I don't have any revenges.
Honestly, I've really enjoyed this. Thank you both very much indeed.
Thank you,
Get
Cilla.
stuck in, as they say in Liverpool.